Welcome back to my channel. My name is Olive and this is going to be a 20-minute everyday movement flow. So in terms of levels, it is accessible to everyone. I give a variety of different modifications and options for you to play around with. And the only equipment I suggest is a yoga block, so grab one if you want. And we're going to start standing up. We're going to start in a standing position and just work into some areas of the spine. So take your inhale, reach your arms up and above your head. And then from here, you're going to take a micro step back with your left foot, staying on the balls of the feet, and then just leaning backwards ever so slightly, feeling the stretch from the front body all the way down. Release the arms, step back in. Take your inhale, step back with the right leg, leaning back. And then exhale, maybe release. So you can flow through it 4 more times in total. Trying to work with the breath throughout the movements. Hanging out in the pose for a little bit longer if you fancy. We're going to do 1 more. And then releasing. Okay, so from here, take your feet perhaps just a little bit wider than hip distance apart. And we're just going to start by inhaling to reach the arms up. Take your exhale, start to lean towards the right hand side and then roll it forwards, maybe soft bend in the knees, rolling in front, over to the left, and then opening up into a big circular motion. So you can start to flow side to side. You can be as fluid as you like in the knees and in your arms. You can find your own rhythm, your own pace. If you wanted to hang out in maybe the side bend, you can go for that too. Again, this is like really just up to you how you want to move, where your body feels like it wants to go. Let's maybe go 2 more. And roll all the way back up to standing. Have a little bit of a shake. Okay, so from here you can sort of heel toe your feet in so they're about hip distance apart. Let's keep soft knees again. I like to start this with my right hand onto my left shoulder. I'm just going to inhale and twist and reach back with my left hand. Back through center, swap hands over, left hand to right shoulder, reaching back with the right. And again, just involving this rotation, maybe soft bend and lean a little bit more. See what feels good. We can go 1 more time each side. And again. Okay, lovely. From here, let's bring it down into ragdoll. So soft bend into the legs, hinging forwards with the hips. You can take your block underneath your hand if you want to. And we're just going to let the head drop. So we're looking behind us, chin to the chest. You can start by swaying side to side, sort of alternating between the inside and the outside of the feet. You can cradle your arms, you can hold them behind the legs, or have them interlaced behind your back. So I give a variety of options for the movements that we kind of do, so pick and choose whatever works best for your body in this moment. Now a little bounce, you could be still. We're going to take 1 more breath here. And then just release your hands down to the ground just ever so slightly in front of your feet, and we're going to bring ourselves down into a kneeling position. So knees to the ground. You can either have the toes tucked and sit back onto the heels, have them completely flat underneath, like a click into your ankle, or you can stay more upright, whatever's most comfortable. And we're just going to interlace the hands and just roll through the wrists, keeping the contact, rolling through the other way. And then from here, we're going to release the hands, spiral them inwards in circles and start to take them out. And then rotate them the other way, spiral them all the way back in. Cool. Then join them together, palms really, really pushing against one another towards your heart center. And you're going to turn the fingertips down towards the ground as much as you're comfortable with. Keep pushing the hands together and then coming all the way back up. Just finding a little bit of a sequence with this, adding a bit of resistance as our wrists are in some flexion. Building a bit of tension to the forearms as well. 1 more. And release and shake it out. Okay, so from here we're going to have a little squat play. So you're going to take your hands to the ground, you're going to tuck your toes and push back and come into a squat position. Doesn't matter if our heels are off the ground or if we're super upright or whatever it is, but for the purpose of just arriving into the squat first of all, keep your hands to the ground and start to rock side to side, just so we're starting to move into the hips, into the knees, into the ankles a little bit more. Just see what feels good. You can remove the hands if you're comfortable with that. You can reach to the side with one arm. Whatever feels right. And don't be afraid to sort of, change the position of the legs. They don't always have to be bent. You can come up a little bit higher. Then we're going to take it into a little bit more of a sequenced flow. So, back to your squat position, we're going to return to our kneeling position. So hands to the floor, drop the knees to the ground. You're going to come all the way upwards into an upright kneeling stance. We're going to hinge from the hips, hands can go to the ground, and we're going to push back into our squat. So you can do this a couple of times. Again, just finding the flow at your own pace, seeing where the body takes itself. If you're starting to feel super comfortable, maybe you do this movement without your hands on the ground, so they're out to the side. Again, see where you want to go. You could really try slow down the transition to see how the muscles, the joints react. Let's go for one more. Utilizing the breath. Then back in our squat position, let's walk it out into our down dog. So walk the hands in front, legs behind, and when you get there, maybe give the legs a little bit of a pedal, a little shake through your head, a little bounce into the hips, whatever feels right. Okay, taking a couple breaths here in downward dog. And then when you are ready, we're going to take an inhale and roll forwards into a high plank position. So shoulders over the wrists, core is lightly braced, spine is into neutral, and then we're going to pop it all the way back into downward dog. Again, have a little pedal through the feet. Inhale, roll forwards into your high plank. And exhale, back into down dog. This time we're going to try and make it a little bit more fluid. So inhale, we're going to roll forwards, high plank. This time to get it back to down dog, bend the knees, press and lift to downward dog. So we're creating a little bit more of a fluid movement. Now we can start in that bent leg position already. So you're going to bend your knees in downward dog, roll forwards, high plank, bend the knees, send it back down dog. So you're almost creating, I like to think of it as like this one continuous circular movement that's almost propelling you from downward dog into plank. So again, you can move as quick or as slow as you like. You can play around with it, see where you want to take it. And then when you're ready, let's go one more time. Holding in downward dog. Take it down to a kneeling stance into your tabletop. Shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Just have a little roll through your shoulders, through your hips, through your spine. From here, we're going to bring it into puppy pose, but into a lateral version, so like a twist. Going to walk your hands over towards the left-hand side. Taking your left elbow down to the ground and slide your right hand as far away from you as possible, kind of staying on your fingertips. Allow that chin to drop down to your chest. Pressing and driving into your right fingertips as much as you want to kind of draw attention to the sensations on the right side of the body. Let the head relax. Okay. And take one more breath here. And then bring it up, move it all the way over to the other side. So this time we're going to take our right elbow down to the floor, the left hand right out in front on the fingertips, drawing that chin down to the chest. So this is arguably one of the first parts of practice where we've kind of just held a position and breathed into it. So really try to experience what the breath and the body are feeling. Go for one more breath here. And then releasing, we're going to walk it all the way into our normal tabletop position and take it down into a child's pose. So drawing the glutes back towards the heels, arms extending out in front of you. Now for this, I want you to turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Let the head rest between the hands. Now you can either obviously be still, or maybe you just lightly rock side to side. And see how that feels for the shoulders, the muscles around the shoulder blades. Okay. We're going to take 2 more breaths here in total, whatever that translates to in regards to your movement. Okay. And then just releasing palms down to the ground, push into the hands and feet, make your way back into your downward facing dog. So give the head a little shake, the feet a little pedal. Let's move into our next little sequence. So take your inhale, you're going to float your right leg straight behind you, maybe roll through the ankles, bend in and out off the knee, create some circles through the hips, whatever feels good. When you're ready, looking forwards, we are going to step the foot in between the hands. So roll the shoulders over the wrist, stepping forwards. If you need to pick up the foot and move it, go for it. And we're going to start in a low lunge position. So drop your back knee down to the floor, hands to the ground. We're just going to pulse in and out off that front leg. I'm lifting my toes off the ground, which you're more than welcome to do. You can come more upright and start to pulse, so bringing the shoulders over the hips. And then taking the hands back down to the ground from here, lift your back knee off the floor and start to straighten into the front leg and then bend into the front leg. So just bringing a bit more awareness into the calves and the hamstrings of the front leg, maybe even into the back quad. And from here we're going to take it into a side lunge. So bend again into the right leg. We're going to walk the fingertips round towards the inside of the right foot, turning all 10 toes to face the long edge of the mat and loading, bending into that right leg. You can kind of hang out here. A couple different things you can do. Rock backwards and forwards, twist towards the right leg, twist towards the left leg. You can come up and maybe just quickly switch to the left-hand side to take, the load out of the right. Your heel doesn't have to be on the floor. That's completely fine if it's elevated off the ground. Again, just get curious, see where you want to take it. Then I'm going to give maybe 5 breaths in total to kind of just play around with those movements I've given. So the side lunge, the high lunge, and then the low lunge. Just seeing if you can maybe incorporate your own flow. So going for the 5 breaths now. You can continuously move. You can hang out a little bit in the poses. You can do something I've not even said. I'm going to go for 2 more breaths. And then bring it all the way back. Hands down to the ground in this lunge position, stepping it back into your downward dog. And giving the legs a little bit of a pedal. Okay, so I'm going to switch onto the other side. I'm going to turn myself around so I won't be having my back to the camera. You're going to take your inhale, float your left leg off the ground behind you. And again, maybe roll through your ankle, bend in and out the knee, rotate through the hips. Okay, when you're ready, let's look forwards to the hands. Bring your shoulders over the wrist, stepping that foot in between. Again, starting in the low lunge, so drop your back knee to the floor. Maybe just rocking backwards and forwards. Or anything else that, I haven't said, go for it. Go without the hands. And let's bring it up, so back knee off the floor, rocking backwards and forwards. This side might feel completely different and might want different stimulus, so feel free to adapt to that. Okay, and into the side lunge. So Both hands down to the ground to the inside of the left foot, turning all 10 toes to face the long edge. And then again, bending into that left leg. We can walk hands forwards, leaning up to the left or to the right. Or again, just switching between the two. If you feel like that left leg's been bent for quite a while, just switch it up. Start to move. Give the leg a little stretch, point your flex of toes. So again, let's come back to 5 breaths. Your opportunity to link up these positions together in your own flow. Having a little bit more freedom to kind of express your body's needs, wherever it might be. Let's go for 2 more breaths. And when you're ready, returning to the low lunge position, hands to the ground, step it back into your downward facing dog. And again, once you're there, have a little shake while I reposition myself. Cool. Okay. So you're going to come into pigeon pose from here. Take an inhale, float your right leg straight behind you. You're going to bend that leg to draw heel to your butt. Bring the shoulders over the wrist, keep squeezing heel to the butt. Knee is going to land in between the hands. We're going to slide that back leg as far away as possible. Maybe take your block and put it underneath your right glute cheek if you want a bit more support, because we're going to kind of stay like relatively upright. So let's walk the hands a couple of centimeters forwards, pushing into the left hand. We want to feel this connection nice and strong. And what we're going to do with the right hand, it's going to start out in front of us, palm facing inwards. We're going to take our inhale, reach that arm up and above our head, circle it all the way backwards, palm facing the outside. And then again, circle it forwards, either letting it touch the ground or you can drop elbow down. We're just going to move and spiral, working into our shoulder joints. You could even take it down onto the left elbow if you preferred. If you wanted to wrap that right hand around your back and hold a bind, you are welcome to. Or final option that I'm going to give, as you reach forwards, your right arm can thread underneath your left arm and you come down into like a thread the needle position. Either way, wherever you are, I'm going to give 3 more breaths in total to see where you want to take it. Again, you can still be moving or you can be holding. Regardless of where you are now, let's take it back onto the palms, walking them inwards. You can remove the block if you're sat on one, and we're going to come to a seated position. So you're going to drop your butt cheek down towards the right hand side, keep the right leg where it is. Left foot's going to rotate and then come out towards the side, so the right foot is immediately to the inside of our left thigh. Let's take an inhale, reach our hands up. And then on the exhale, just folding into that front leg, taking the hands wherever, to the ground, to the foot, and just taking your time to move into this position. So we're going to hold for a couple of breaths. You can close down the eyes, let the head relax. You can have your block underneath your right knee for support. You can bend your left leg, it doesn't have to be dead straight. And take 2 more breaths. Last one. When you're ready, slowly you're going to come all the way back up. And we're basically going to reverse it, come back into pigeon, then downward dog again. So take your hands, fingertips face forwards. You're going to swivel that left leg behind you, rotate back into pigeon, and push through the hands, step back into down dog. Give the legs a little pedal, a little shake. And let's move to the other side. Inhale, left leg floats behind you, bending heel to bum. Inhale, shoulders over the wrist, knee to chest, landing between the hands. Sliding your back leg away, making use of the block underneath your glute if you want. So again, hands are going to scooch forwards, right hand in front, left hand to the inside. Inhale, reaching up and over, rotating, swimming it all the way back. and swimming it forwards. Taking your time to just move through the transition, through the pose. You can take it down to your elbow, you can come to a bind, or even right elbows to the floor, or you throw that needle and you come down. We're holding, I'm going to say 3 more breaths. Wherever you are. And then when you're ready, bring those hands all the way back up. Removing your block. You're going to drop your butt down towards the left-hand side and bring that right leg so it comes to the inside. Obviously you have to turn to face the camera. But again, we're taking the left foot to the inside of the right thigh. You're going to inhale to reach your hands up. And then exhale, folding it forwards. Reaching for the foot, reaching for the ground, wherever it may be, and holding here. Taking a couple of breaths. We've got one more final sequence. Last breath here. And then as you come all the way back up, you're going to frame that left knee. As you sweep that right leg behind, roll up, so we're back into our pigeon position, then pushing into our downward dog. Have a little shake through the head. And then on your inhale, roll it all the way forwards, shoulders over the wrists. We're going to bring our knees to the floor and land all the way down on our belly. So from here, keep your left hand exactly where it is. Your right arm is going to extend out towards the side. We're just going to roll this shoulder back. Bend your left leg. This is called a scorpion twist. I like to call it that anyway. We're going to roll over onto the right hip, onto the right arm, letting that left foot come down to the floor or let it hover. You can rest your head to the ground. And you can start to lightly press into your right hand if it feels comfortable. If you're not necessarily getting any feedback from the body, slowly come out of it and make a cactus position with the right arm instead. So bending it so it creates 90 degrees and then rolling over. Or setting it to whatever preferred angle. Take one more breath here. And then roll back onto your belly. Make a little pillow with your hands, let your hips rock side to side. We're going to do it on the other side. So extend your left arm away from you. Again, remember if you want it to at 90 degrees, right hand underneath, bend the right leg. Roll over towards that left shoulder. Again, soften the head, soften that back foot, whatever feels good. Adjusting the position of the left hand if you need. Take one more breath. And then roll forwards back onto your belly. Make a pillow with your hands, rock your hips. And we're going to press back and up into our last pose. Kneeling on the ground, interlacing the hands behind our back, squeezing our shoulder blades together, lifting the chest, and maybe looking up towards the ceiling. So as you're here, if you wanted to, you could pull your hands away from your lower back. Or you can open and close your mouth to get a stretch into your throat. Taking 2 final breaths here. Bring that chin back to the chest and releasing. Cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed and feel really, really lovely. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and let me know what you would like to see more of in the future. Alright, bye!